The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay. Are we live? Welcome. Okay. Welcome. So tonight's show, as we're continuing on with Black History Month, and what do we do? Hey, Mona. So tonight's show is dedicated to the sisters. It's about, let's give it up for the sisters, for Black women. Y'all know Black women are my absolute favorite. So tonight's show is also dedicated to I forgot to put a picture up, but my grandmother, Agnes Brown. The show is dedicated to her because she's one of the strongest women I know. So let's just go ahead on and get into it. Well, how you doing, Mona? How you doing? We're gonna child carry his boots. Shut up. Shut it up, Kwame. Shut it up. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna talk about some women today. We're gonna talk about 4 different women. And because they say the modern woman is too headstrong and she's exuding masculine energy. I hate it when straight men talk like that. Straight men, you know what? Y'all, you won't break my soul. Thank you, Beyonce. But y'all sure the hell irritate my soul. God damn, y'all irritating. Oh my God. But you all say that modern women, hey Gail, you all say that modern women are so headstrong. Let me show you about some women. So Kwame, let's get started. Let's get it going. First on the list, I hate the word docket. First on the list we're gonna have is a woman by the name of Mary S. Peake. Mary S. Peake out of Norfolk, Virginia. Hey Rochelle, AJ, what's going on? Mary S. Peake is a woman out of Norfolk, Virginia, who was born in 1823. Now she was born free. She was her mother was a cook, and also from Alexandria, Virginia. Her father was an Englishman, white man, and I'm sorry. Let me go again. Mary Burke from Norfolk, Virginia, born in 1823. She was born free, and her mother was a light-skinned Negro woman. Her father was an Englishman who her mother met, and they were part of the. They had moved to Alexandria. She sent Mary to Alexandria, Virginia, to go to school, which at that time was a part of D.C. And so, just so she had a much better education, Mary lived with her Aunt Mary, for 10 years, and then the U.S. Congress put a law into effect forbidding free Negroes in Washington, D.C. for being educated. So the same law they had applied in the entire state of Virginia and several other states. No Negroes could be educated. So now the new law closed all of the schools for the blacks. So when Mary got back home to be with her mom, she took a risk and she started teaching slave children to read. She was 16 at the time, that was a bold move. The slaves, that was against the law. Slaves were not allowed to be educated at all, period. But she believed education was important to the race. And then later on in 1850, she began secretly teaching uh, free blacks. She moved to Hampton and she started teaching them. Excuse me. And so the teacher was officially sanctioned by the Union Army as the U.S. entered the Civil War. So then there was the Civil War. So oh God, she moved to a place called Fort Monroe, where it became a place of refuge for escaped slaves seeking asylum. So then the Union defined them as contraband and married legal status to prevent them from being returned to Confederate slaveholders. So Mary started teaching the children of former slaves and the American Missionary Association, which was she received a salary for this and supported her for became the first black teacher. So then on excuse me, September 17th, 1861, she began teaching under a large oak tree. And she started teaching 50 children during the day and then 20 adults at night. And at this tree, then they gave her a building. And that building was called the Hampton Institute for a long time. And afterwards is what's now known as Hampton University. So Mary Peak is the reason that Hampton University exists. And after, even when she became ill, I mean, even in her illness, she still taught. So on February 22nd, in 1862, Mary Peak died of tuberculosis, which she had contracted before the Civil War. That is a woman who took risk. That is a woman who wasn't just sitting around and waiting on her man to do this and do that. No, she took risk, took a chance. A headstrong woman. Defied the odds, defied the laws. Law said we can't learn. So since she was free, she went ahead and used her freedom. I mean, took a big risked her freedom, risked her life to teach enslaved children and adults. Now, after Mary, I'm going in chronological order. Now, after Mary, there's a lady by the name of Maggie Lena Walker. Now, this lady she totally goes against what we hear men talking about on today. Totally. So she was born in 1864, and she another Virginia woman, and so a former slave and the assistant cook. Her mother's name was Elizabeth Draper. Now her mother met an Irish man who was a journalist for the New York Herald named Eccles Cathcart, and then he was the father of Maggie. Now, then later on, her mom they never did get married. They just had a baby, had Maggie. So then her mother married another man named William Mitchell, which was a butler at the Vanloo Institute. And they had a son named Johnny. So afterwards, after William became the head waiter at the St. Charles Hotel, he was able to provide his family and provide a home. They were able to buy their first home, which is near the First African Baptist Church, which, like all black churches back then, it was the economic, political, and social center for the local black community. What happened? When did the church stop being that? You're supposed to be able to go to your church for assistance. When did that stop? But that being the political stop, that for me, that explains to me why politicians come to the churches to seek the black vote. Because it was that, they used it for that as well. Now, William passed away. So after that, then Elizabeth had to support her family by working as a laundry woman. And then Maggie attended a Richmond public school system. And then she helped her mother by delivering clean clothes. So she was making money on the side. So she started making money and learning how to save money. So, and then at the age of 14, she joined the local council of Independent Order of St. Luke, which was established in 1867 in Baltimore, Maryland. It was a fraternal burial society and administered to the sick and aged, promoted humanitarian causes. So at an early age, Maggie became a civil rights, so to speak, activist, and encouraged individuals to get on their feet and to help. Her passion was women, even at an early age. So in 1883, she graduated from Richmond Colored Normal School, and for 3 years she taught at the school. And her employment ended once she got married because married women were not allowed to work. That's the way they want things to go back now. some of these men, even though they don't make enough to support, but whatever. So anyway, she married a man named Armstead Walker on September 14th, 1886. Then they had 3 sons, and then they adopted a daughter. Now, in 1905, Maggie was featured alongside other black leaders on a poster called 101 Prominent Colored People. But she was a businesswoman who had a vision to make influence in the way of life for black people. She wanted black people to do better in black Maggie lead. But she wanted equality for all black people. There was to charter and become the bank president. Now, mind you, this is back in 1903 or 1905. A black woman owning a bank, chartering the bank and becoming the president. This blew me away when I learned about this, because I'm like, okay, this is real history. You don't hear about that. But nowadays, if a black woman owns, if she's the CEO of a company, she's exuding masculine energy, child. So this is why I'm doing this, to show that women back then, that black women have always been at the forefront. Black women have always been leader. I think leadership is embedded in black women. That's my thoughts. That's my opinion. So now she became, as I said, the first black woman to serve as a bank president. Yeah, and after her husband was shot and killed by their son. While they were looking for a burglar, the son thought the father was the burglar. So by accident, he shot and killed him. Now, after that, he was charged with murder, but they dismissed the charges. He was found innocent. Now, because of that, he developed a serious case of depression. He fell in depression, and that's what ended up killing him. So it was because the trial went on for 5 months, and then they found him innocent. And then, so Maggie, after her husband died, she was left to care for the home and for her children. Single mother. Some of y'all love knocking single mothers, but left her to be a single mother. But because of her business savvy and everything that she did, she was able to provide for her family, and they were still able to live a comfortable life in the home. So now, before now, 1905, she became the bank president. So now she was so determined, such a determined woman before her. No, I'm saying this is when she became president and became the first woman to establish and become the president of a bank in the divided states of America. That's what I call it, USA. But yeah, so she's the first black, but she's the first woman, period. So the first woman, period, to own and operate a bank. And one thing she did, now when men came into the bank to receive a loan, the one rule was they had to bring their wives with them. She wanted their wives to be involved in the process, because a lot of times you have the traditional woman where she sits at home and just sits idly by and lets her husband take care of everything. He gets it all, and she has whatever he has, she has. But no, she wanted the wife to be a part of the process, and also encourage the wife, to start, having her own bank account so she can have her own money and she could be independent of, period. Because you need to be even though you're married, you still need to be independent, because you never know what can happen. And that was Mary's way of thinking. So the bank was called the St. Luke Penny Savings. Now, Matt, Maggie, and she was the fire starter for all women. She's a black woman. She's the definition of a boss. Now, one of her quotes is, "Let a woman choose her own vocation, just as man does his. Let her go into business. Let her make money on her own. Let her become independent." Now, that's strong words for 1903. Here it is in 2023. Let's let women lead. I say this is what I say. Let's let women lead. I think we would be in a better place as a community, and I'm talking about black people, if we let women be the lead, because nothing else works. Everything I'm showing you, the other two ladies I'm gonna show you, they're leaders. This is what women are, what drives us. This is just my opinion. I believe black women are better leaders. I said this last night to a black woman. I think she kind of agreed, she kind of disagreed. But that's only because society says men are the leader. Men should lead, be a man, lead. Okay, that's fine. But if you can lead, every man is not capable of leading. We've seen that. We've experienced that with some of the men that have led this country. We're the leaders for our community. Now, I say that even though sometimes I'm just like, we can just govern ourselves, but now govern ourselves, that's not working either. We in a mess. So it ain't him. Wait a minute, what happened? Hey. Wait, am I glitching or something? I'm reading the comments. What happened? You can't hear me? All right, if you can hear me, type of one. I'm gonna be type of one in the comments. Hey, Mysterious Lines, if you can hear me, or see type of one in the comments. Let's see what's going on. You was, now you're good. Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I'm just talking. Now, that's not me. It's not me. I really believe one. Well, Kwame don't want to hit once. So Kwame, you don't want that can hear me. All right, well, thank you, everybody. It's better now. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Good. I'm glad. Back to what I was saying. I believe black women make better leaders. What do you all think? Is it just me? No, it's you. Shut up, Kwame. So what do you all think? Is it just me? Or do black women make better leaders? Because as we're seeing here, this woman, a determined woman, and then she had a husband. He didn't say, hey, Maggie, stop. Let me make the bank. Let me do it. No. She had drive. She had ambition. And this is something that's been in her since she was a child to do. And she is, but obviously greatly because she had more than one business. She owned the bank, but she also had several businesses on the side. She had some, I need to research it more, but she has something to do with Madam C.J. Walker and Madam C.J. Walker's distribution for her hair care. Yeah, so Maggie was a rich, Maggie was a wealthy woman. Because as I told you all, she's part of the black elite. But she was wealthy. Kwame said, I agree, black women make exceptional leaders. Our ancestors used to have majority female councils in order to make major community decisions. And I think women make better decisions. Now, some of y'all might get mad, but I think women all around make better decisions and on a lot of instances, not just black women. But I do believe black women make better leaders. Which is why, even though I don't live in Georgia, I was hoping that Stacey Abrams became the governor. And then, but the pushback that she got, something kind of stupid to me, because people were saying that, because she's not married, they don't know if she can, that's one thing held her back. They don't know how she would do with conflict or something crazy like that. I'm like, she's not married? Do you have to be married to be, I guess we could be better at it, but men no longer back us. I back y'all. But that's true. That's true because they don't want to back you because they feel they should be in the front. So they think that you're overstepping your bounds. Even though if men really, really, really thought, to be honest, they would say women make better leaders because women are more mature. I think women think more sensibly. Now, I always hear men say, women can't lead, they too emotional. I know a lot of emotional men. A lot of emotion who operate out of emotions. So to me, that's a human trait. But I think women think more logically, which is why I wanted, it didn't matter who did, but I would rather have Hillary than the orange jackass. Women are problem solvers. Mm-hmm. Men are fixers. If it's broke, a man will fix right then. Women are forward thinkers, such as, let's make sure this don't happen again. Which is why it's important now, what you said there, Ramona, which is why it's important for men and women to be a team. My opinion. Now, let's see. Oh, sorry, we gotta go. Let's cut to a commercial real quick. Now I'll come back with the last two. Hit it. welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Hey, Ben Chow, it's so good to see you. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. I had a brain freeze. I was talking to Kwame. I had a brain freeze. Women are problem. Yeah, we saw that. Thank you. Evening all. LLE, hey, what's going on? How you doing? So LLE, we're talking about paying homage to black women, which is why I wore my shirt today. Black women are dope, period. Which they are. Everyone knows black women are my favorite. I get slack. It's funny because I get slack from it. From black men. You always defending black women. Somebody told me this the other day on the phone. You always defending black women. I'm like, yeah, I do. Because nobody else does. Y'all keep coming at them. Black women get blamed for everything. Black women got blamed for the murdering of Tyree Nichols. Black women get blamed if a man go to work and they tell him he fired. It's your fault. You didn't wake me up. Black women get blamed if the sun don't shine and it's rain. It's cloudy outside, but it's a black woman's fault. So yeah, I defend black women. Absolutely. Absolutely. I do it. Oh God. Okay, moving right along. We're gonna go to the next one. This next one is a favorite of mine because I only learned about her. I think in 2017. No, yeah, 2017. This is why I found out about her. I was living in LA. Excuse me. And my ex put me onto this, and I had never heard of this story. Now that I have, one of my favorites. So this young lady coming up now, her name is Claudette Colvin. Child about to say Claudette Ortiz. Claudette Colvin. Now, before I go into, does anyone know who she is? Anybody know who Claudette Colvin is? Come in. Oh, that's why. Okay. Kwame. Okay, I am. Okay. So, Claudette Colvin is, well, I'll just read this first and then I'm going to show you. So, exactly 9 months before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white person, on March the 2nd, 1955, a young 15-year-old girl named Claudette Colvin, along with 3 of her friends, boarded a bus on their way home from school, laughing and talking, having a good time. And then a young white woman gets on the bus and demanded that they move so that she could sit down. Now, mind you, there's 3 other seats on the bus empty, but she wanted their seat. And three of the 3 friends got up, moved. Claudette sat there. Claudette said, "I'm not moving." And so the bus driver turns around and said, "Get up now." Claudette says, and quote, "No, it goes against my constitutional right." So the driver drove till he saw police cars. So 2 police cars and a policeman got on the bus and dragged Claudette off the bus and put them in the squad car. I'm sorry, and then telling her to stick your arms out the window. So once she stuck her arms out the window, they handcuffed her and arrested her. And so then they took her to jail, and she was in a cell the cell was filthy. And it was unfit for rodents, in my opinion. So she was afraid that no one would know what she was, and she was scared that no one would call her mom. So she was in custody, and she wanted to call her mother, and they wouldn't let her. But, of course, word got around, and so much that Dr. King came to fight for her arrest. And the leaders of the civil rights had a meeting to find a way to end bus segregation. So then it was determined that Claudette was too young and, unfortunately, too dark to be the face for the movement. So they came up with Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was already a part of the movement. She's part of NAACP. She was a seamstress. They said, hey, you go in, do the same thing, blah, 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 blah. So they set it up. Now Rosa's a seamstress. Now, seamstress, they sit down all day and sew. So she gets on the bus, and a white person asked for a seat. And, of course, Rosa said, "I'm not moving. I'm too tired, ma'am." So, of course, it was all part of the plan. But what I love about Rosa Parks is Rosa has always given credit to Claudette. After I've seen, I didn't hear of her until 2017, but then I started seeing documentaries on Rosa. Rosa always mentioned Claudette, and she's the real hero. She's the one who did it. And Claudette never even mention, she did what she did, and then excuse me, did what she did. Didn't mention it. So then, especially during the time between the trial and the buses, and then she found out she was pregnant. So of course you can't have a pregnant teenager. You know how y'all do pregnant girls or pregnant black girls, because pregnant white girls get a TV show called Teen Mom. That's another candid conversation. So so Rosa did it. Rosa became the face, but Claudette took the case to court. Claudette and her lawyer, which is the exact same lawyer that Rosa had, but they took the case to court, and Claudette is the reason that bus segregation ended in Montgomery. But I'm gonna let Claudette tell you herself. Hit it, Kwame.
That day when the bus driver asked me to get up, I had this feeling come over me. It felt like Harriet Tubman was holding me down. Hands were holding me down on one shoulder, and Sojourner Truth hands were holding me down on another shoulder. And I was glued to the seat, and I could hear the white passioners saying, "She gotta move, she gotta move. That's the law, she gotta move." And I felt like this is my time to take a stand for justice. My name is Claudette Colvin, and in 1955, I refused to give up my seat to a white passenger on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama, 9 months before Rosa Parks. I was 15 years old. And the rule and the segregation that a white person had to sit in front of you and you sit behind them. And so the bus driver asked me to get up. I would have shouted, "It's not constitutional right, so I'm not going to move." And that's when the policeman dragged me off the bus. Most people ask me, "Were you afraid?" Well, I was a teenager. I was afraid, but I was more angry at these white passioners. And then they took me and booked me. I still vividly can hear the sound of the key go, and I was terrified. And I started reciting the Lord's Prayer, "Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven." And I was just praying for help, praying that they would go and let my parents know that I was in jail. My mom would say, "Yeah, Claudette, I think you was anointed by God to do this." I said, "I don't think so, Mom. I just felt that this was not right. I just wanted people to come together and unify and fight this segregation."
Yes, so that Claudette Colvin, yes, being challenged. She's in New York. After she won the court case, then she moved to New York to become a nurse. So she did her, and she moved her child. And then in New York, she had another child as well. So yes, that is Claudette Colvin, a part of Black history. That was a strong young woman. Now, in today's times, how many of you all would have done the same thing she did? Refused to get up? Anybody? Who would have been like standing their ground? Like, I'm not moving for this person, for these white people. I know we have the mindset now. Some of us have a mindset now, but some of us have a mindset of, "Ooh, you better move. You better move." Some of us will cower down because we don't want to start no trouble. We want white acceptance. We're not here for the fight. No, we're just gonna bow down, kiss the ring, and we're gonna stay in our place. I admire her. She was like, "Not today. I've been in school all day," and she was thinking about another story I read. She was thinking about what she had learned because Black History had just ended. This was happened on March 2nd, and she had learned about Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, and there's another lady I forget what she said, but yeah. So all those were in her mind, and that's why she said she felt Sojourner Truth on one end and Harriet Tubman on the other end, telling her, "Don't move." Ellie said, "I know my mouth, I would have popped off." Right now, that's what I say now. Yeah, I would have popped off. Hey, Thais, what's going on? So many unsung heroes of the movie. It is a lot of them, a lot of unsung heroes. And Claudette is one. Like I said, I admire Rosa Parks for giving acknowledgement. There's a documentary on Rosa Parks, and in it, she mentions Claudette. She says she's the real reason. But she tells the truth, that Claudette was young, too dark, and she became pregnant. So teen mother and dark. But it's a shame that colorism had to play a part. Because to me, that would have been, yes, you're really fighting for black people. Yes. We should not, and I'm saying we as people, we first of all, we need to get past colorism. But we shouldn't have that. We're all the same, no matter how much melanin you have, no matter how much melanin you don't have. We're all one. But it's like that today, because I hate seeing when they have parties, dark versus light. Or they do it on social media, dark versus light. Which one do you prefer? There's no preference. They're all the same. They're all black men. Oh my God. Yeah, what y'all saying? I know yes, mother. Somebody says, yes, Your Honor. What happened was, well, see, back then, I'm glad she won. She had a black lawyer too. I'm glad that she won and got segregation taken away from the buses, which is good because I can't imagine. I just can't imagine living back there. Like I said, I know my mouth now, but I asked myself, would I have the same attitude that I had then? I mean, I know how my attitude is now towards certain things. Yeah, colorism is dumb. It is very dumb, very dumb. I don't know if Thais called me Malcolm X. Malcolm, I don't know Malcolm would have came out of what. But let's call that COVID. Out of Montgomery, Alabama, now in New York as a nurse. She's 83 years old now. Yeah, I was supposed about that earlier. I just started watching Harlem, and I wanted to know what the dark-skinned girl has to be. Why dark skin has to be unemployed, lazy girl out of the group. East and dark-skinned, unemployed, and heavy. Even though she done lost some weight, she lost weight from last season now, but still, yeah, that's a good question. Well, yeah, why y'all do her like that? Mm-hmm. And we have now this young lady that we have coming up now is this is my favorite shero of all. She had, if you ever become feel like you want to give up or feel like you just can't do it, pick up her autobiography. Ladies and gentlemen, her name is Assata Shakur. Her autobiography is everything. This woman is strong. She has been through. She literally been through the fire. The Shaka Khan singing about. This woman been through the fire. Now she's born. Her name is Joanne Deborah Byron. She was born in 1947 out of Flushing, Queens, New York. So she attended mostly white schools growing up, and then once she got to college, she started seeing different people and hearing different political messages, and it caught her. And so she heard of the Black Panthers. That caught her eye. That caught her ear. So she started working with the Black Panther Party, and then eventually became a Black Panther. But the Black Panther Party in New York, she didn't like how the men were having this super macho attitude where, like I told you earlier, let me lead. I am man. You are woman. she could rock with this. So she's like, you know what? So there's another group called the BLA, the Black Liberation Army. And that caught her attention even more. So she joined them. So she joined them and they were about change. She said the groups that wanted reform, she said those weren't for her. They were like too soft. But the Black Liberation Army were really in the fight and really wanted change and was not afraid to go after it. So that's why she joined them. So from 1971 to 73, she stayed in trouble, before that, because they would have bank robberies. They blamed her. So the FBI started watching her. So then Assata was charged and served with several crimes. So in May of 1973, she was arrested, and then they shot her twice and falsely accused her of shooting and murdering a New Jersey state trooper, by the name of Werner Forrester. Now, even though evidence showed clearly that she had no gun residue on her clothes or on her hands, they still arrested her and still charged her with murder. They charged her with murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, bank robbery, and kidnapping, all in relation to a shootout that took place. Now, the shootout that happened, she was there, and it was her, Zaid Malik Shakur, and another man. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, they were there and they had a shootout with the police. So the officer was killed, but Assata didn't have a gun. She was in the car. She did not have a gun at all. Let's say the state trooper was killed. So then afterwards, they took her, they shot her, and they took her to a hospital. So when they got her to the hospital, that's when they told her what they was doing, and they tried torturing her. They did all kind of things to her, handcuffed her to the bed. First they took her to a secret part of the hospital. Is this secret room, wherever, and they were torturing her. Like they had shot her, so they would dig into the hole, and to this day the bullet is still there. But anyway, they would dig into the hole in her chest where they shot her, handcuff her to the bed. Now they would handcuff her ankles, and they would make it so tight that her legs would swell. So one day, the nurse, it was a German nurse, she came in to take care of her, or whatever, and she saw what was happening. She told them officers, "No, not while I'm here. No, you would not do this." No, she didn't allow. So she actually saved Asada's life because she, saw what was happening and put an end to that. So then, now Zaid Malik Shakur, he got killed at the shootout. He was dead as well. So then, they brought him to the hospital, unbeknownst to her. So when she fell asleep, and when she woke up one morning, he was laying next to her, and they had two state troopers guarding her door, right? And she done quote unquote killed a New Jersey state trooper, which she didn't, but anyway, got them guarding her door. So anyway, when she woke up, Zaid's body was laying next to her, and they whispered in her ear, "If you don't tell us what we want to know, this will be you next." So they did everything trying to torture this lady. And so they went to court after, so in 1977, she got convicted by an all-white jury for the murder of the state trooper. Like, even though the medical evidence proved that she did, because by her being shot, her hand was crippled, and at the time it became paralyzed for temporarily. So medical experts came in and testified. Her defense testified that it couldn't marry her and like gun away. All did. How that worked. And so while in the hospital, after the shootout, I said 2 state trooper, I said that. Blah 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 blah. So she stood strong, right? And after her sentencing, they transferred her to a prison. And the FBI could take you to any prison that they want to take you to instead of one that was in state. They took her out of state, and they locked her up with the Aryan Sisterhood and women of that were with Charles Manson. Now, no other black people were in this prison back there, and they put her set up for. She stayed there for a year and a half, I believe, and then they transferred her to a prison in New Jersey. Excuse me. So they put her in the side there for 2.5 years, but she was in solitary confinement, where she was locked up all day, every day, except for the hour that you come out to exercise and do whatever you want to do. So then, while she was in jail, then they took her back to the regular part for the women's. So one day while she was there, her grandmother came to visit, and her grandmother is a dreamer. So she said, "You know what? I had a dream about you. I dreamed that I was dressing you, and we were back at the house in Harlem." And so Asada thought that meant death, so she got scared, and she thought that meant death. And her grandmother saw it on her face. She said, "No, that's not what it means at all. Nothing's gonna happen to you. I'm just telling you." But she couldn't talk like she wanted to talk. She would just tell her, "No, I was dressing you, and everything's gonna be all right." So anyway, so that stayed with her for a while. And then so on November 2nd, 1979, before that, November 1st, she called her grandmother, and her grandmother said, "Listen to me. I do not want you to get comfortable in that place. Do not think of that place as home. You're not going to stay there long." But her grandmother didn't know that Asada had planned an escape, that she had planned it. So on November the 2nd, she escaped the Clinton Correctional Facility for Women. And for a few years, she lived as a fugitive. And the FBI hung up warning posters all over New York saying, warning Asada Shakur. But the supporters of Asada Shakur had their own posters made, and it says, "Asada Shakur is welcome here." So by her being on the run, they couldn't find this woman. So they started doing raids in buildings. They did raids in Brooklyn. They did raids in Harlem. and trying to find out where she was, bombarding people's apartments. And so the people, of course, were calling this racism. Like, you wouldn't do this if we were white, which they wouldn't. But anyway, so they bombarded apartments, wouldn't allow people to leave. They would stay there for hours at a time, ransack the apartment looking for her, telling people, I know you know where she is. Where is she? Where is she? And so they would, torture these people, basically. So then the FBI, they monitored her friends and her phone calls, and her daughter. While she was in prison, she had a daughter. Her and one of the guys in the Black Liberation Army, they had talked, and they ended up having sex some kind of way, and she ended up having a baby in prison. So anyway, but then her grandmother, had took the baby, whatever. So anyway, so her daughter going back and forth to school in Upper Manhattan, and they can't decide they can never find. They not understand. Dr. William Webster, he said that the investigation would have become frustrating because the residents were unruly and they refused to cooperate with them. So then, after her escape, 3 days later, 5,000 demonstrators organized the National Black Human Rights Coalition organized a march and a rally for her. So they can, and then they had she had sent in a statement to them what she wanted them to say, and she was talking about how the prison conditions were horrible. And like I said, like Claudette Colvin's cell was, like I said, that cell they showed it wasn't fit for a rodent. Aside the way she described it, it wasn't fit for even a rodent or anything else. So she was saying the conditions were terrible, the food was terrible. I'm like, well, it is prison, but anyway, it was just overwhelming for her, and no one should have to live like that, whether they're in prison or not. So then they did that, and so they were and also calling for a new independence of Africa. They wanted independence for the people, the same thing that Maggie Walker wanted for Black people. This same thing Assata Shakur wanted for Black people. Wanted equality, wanted us to have a better life, wanted us to go about doing it. And this is why I say, women make better leaders. This woman did everything she did was for her people. It wasn't about herself. It was for her people. Now, when they asked her about, well, not the FBI, but I'm sorry, doing people had gone to Cuba to do interviews with her, and they asked her about the bank robberies and the murders. That she didn't do the murders, but she said when it comes to bank robberies, her response was, well, sometimes it takes place because the Black Liberation Army needed money for the purpose. So that's how they got their money. They robbed the banks. Now this is not in the book. I don't know who found this out, and I don't know if this is true. So I'm going to say allegedly, but allegedly because she doesn't talk about how she escaped. She never talks about it. But allegedly, in my research, she did it. She planned it with 3 of the Black Liberation Army people, and they came in with pistols. But how you get pistols into a prison, I don't know. But anyway, that was back in '79. So they came in with pistols, held a couple of the guards at gunpoint. No one was shot. Now she will tell you that part about the escape. No, she was a clean escape. No one was hurt. No one was shot. So they had, allegedly held guns to the guards and demanded a van. So they got the van and got her in the van, and then they drove off. And that's supposedly how she escaped. And like I said, I don't know if that's true or not because she never talks about that. So that's that. Now, so in 1984, she moved. She packed up her daughter, and they flew and moved to Cuba, where with Fidel Castro and the Cuban government gave her political asylum. And of course, the U.S. government, to this day, is pissy mad because the bounty on her head was $1 million, and it was either Obama or Bush. I can't think of which one. One of them raised it, so now the bounty on her head is $2 million. So hey, Michelle. So the bounty on her head is $2 million. So there's still a bounty for her. She's 75 years old now, still living in Cuba. Her daughter graduated from college. Her daughter, her daughter travels back and forth between here and there. Now, Assata, one thing she could not do is come to her mom's funeral. And of course, now her mother died. It was in the 90s. But of course, the FBI sitting outside her mama's funeral thinking she gonna come. That woman ain't stupid. She know y'all want her, but she said it's painful. She loves Cuba, but there's a pain, and I'm sure there's a pain because you can't see your family. I mean that was a decision that she had to make, but she had to do what was best for her daughter. And so my question is, every woman that I talked about tonight, everything they did it for our people. They let Asada risk her life, Claudette Colvin risked her life, Maggie Walker risked her life, and Mary Peak risked her life and her freedom because she could have been arrested for anything. And I said Maggie risked her life because she could have been assassinated, because they didn't like for us to make money. And here this woman is, she's a black woman, and you own a bank. You're the president and you own a bank, and you set the rules. You have a board of directors, and you're the head of men. So yeah, all these women did what they did for the betterment of our community. And how are we repaying them? We have become selfish. We have become outlandish. We have turned against each other. When we see these women who fought for us. So I think we need to do a better job. I think we need to come to the point of realize that we need therapy. And I'm saying we as in black men and black women, we do. Because there's a lot of unhealed trauma that, even though we didn't go through it, is passed down to us, and it makes us react the way we do towards one another. If you get what I'm saying, if you feel me. Excuse me. So, like, look at these women's lives, look at what they went through, and let's take heed. Let's try to be better. Let's try to be better. All this craziness, like the passport bros, and we fighting, and then you got a black woman on the internet telling black women, if you're pregnant with a male child, aborted. Yeah, stop all this craziness. This is crazy. This is not what none of these women would want. Now, Claudette and Asada are still alive, but Maggie and Mary have gone on. They did not fight for this. This is not what they fought for. This is not what Asada risked her life for and then went to prison for. And then risking her life by escaping so that her and her daughter can have a better life. She says she still wants a better life for American black people. Even though she's living her life in Cuba and living a pretty good life. Had a good life over there. Living it up. She still wants better for us. We have to want better for us. Black women have and are the backbone in the black community. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying, Ben Charles. And that's why I said earlier, I think black women make better leaders than black men. As my therapist called it, generational trauma passed down since we were in. That's what it is. And that's why I said but some people don't understand that. When I say that, there's no such thing. No, it is such a thing. You don't just hate them because you hate them. No, you do. No, there is a reason behind it. You might not understand it, but that's it. Yeah, we have to want better, do better, be better. Yeah. But thank you all for listening tonight to me as my paid tribute to the sisters, because y'all know black women are my favorite. Yeah, subscribe to me, Kandid Konversations. Subscribe to Pyro Media, the greatest and the best production team on this side of heaven. Shout out to a church person. But anyway, I love y'all for rocking with me. I thank you all. And next week, come back. We're going to do part 3, where we're going to talk about what are we doing. I'm bringing from the LGBTQ stance. Because there's a lot of LGBTQ people who have paved the way for all of us as black people. And a lot of people don't know about them. So we're going to talk about them next week. Everything we go through was designed, and we upholding it. Mm-hmm. Facts, Mona. Facts on top of facts. But like I said, we need to do better as a people. We need to want better, be better, do better. And like I said, if you're going through anything, Kwame, can you put that picture of Asada's book on here? Get this book if you don't have it. Get that book right there. If you feel like giving up, if you feel like you just can't make it, read this book. It's good. Everything she went through, you're going to be like, well, shit, if she can go through that, I can go through, I can do it. Whatever it is you want to do, I can do it. She's my favorite hero. Because she went through so much. But now, if you want to hear her story without reading the book, everybody don't like to read. Common has a song called "A Song for a Sada." Look it up. He raps the whole song. He raps her story in the 6 minutes. That's a pretty good job doing 6 minutes. He tells everything. Yeah, he covers shit that I didn't cover. Anyway, I love y'all for rocking with me. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mona. Come back next week. Like I said, we'll talk about the LGBTQ. And have a great weekend. I love y'all.